Good morning and welcome. I am the Reverend Virginia Wolf, Minister Emerita of this congregation. It's good to be here with you all. Today we're going to discuss and explore the belief that humans are basically good. Certainly this flies in the face of Christian teaching about original sin. It also flies in the face of much of our experience, humans' destruction of the earth and of each other in greed, violence, and cruelty. How can we believe in basic goodness, given how flawed we clearly are as a species? On the other hand, how can we not if we're going to change and survive as a species? Come explore with me. Come, let us worship.
Good morning. I am Kathy Pierce, a member of the Social Responsibility Community, introducing our 50-50 recipients of the month of December. The Unitarian Universalist Service Committee is a friend, but separate from UUA. It began as a small group of UUs smuggling Jews out of Europe in World War II, and has morphed into an organization working worldwide to help those in need. I'll quote to you from their website. Guided by the belief that all people have inherent worth and dignity, the UUSC advances human rights globally by partnering with affected communities who are confronting injustice, mobilizing to challenge oppressive systems, and inspire and sustaining spiritually grounded activism for justice. The UU Service Committee works with local leaders and small groups to help them to gain decision-making power in their own community. Thus, they do this through leadership training and some financing for different causes on the spot. They continue to build the support in our southern borders with migrants in the effort to keep the families together and to protect the health and safety of these travelers. Children are no longer separated from their parents. That's right. But all are forced into makeshift tent camps back in Mexico with very few facilities. Some parents fear starvation for their children and send them north again with older siblings or grandparents from whom they will be immediately separated if they're caught, and then they're lost in the system. These kids are stored in privately owned facilities, several of which are owned by and operated for financial profit by friends of the current administration. For further information, you can follow up on that at the uusc.org website. Another continuing project centers around those affected by climate change. The UUSC is meeting with community leaders in Fiji and other Pacific Island communities, partnering with their Social Empowerment Education Program, SEEP, to share ideas and best practices when moving a whole community to a new location because their homes are being flooded by the rising seawaters. These are real people with a worldwide problem who want to have a voice in the decision which is being made about their lives. That's only a glimpse of the current and continuing projects UUSC supports. I hope that you will continue to support them with your contributions to 50/50 plate collections this month. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Nate Otto, Vice President of the congregation. Welcome to UUC. We are a religious community who commit ourselves to diversity. We hope to nourish human differences, those of gender, race, age, ability, sexual orientation, political views, culture, class, and religious belief. Welcome to all who treasure freedom of conscience in the search for truth. We promise to do our best to provide you a spiritual home. We extend a special welcome to our visitors today. We hope you'll follow our UUC Facebook page and stay tuned for other events such as Wonderful Wednesdays and the Sunday morning meditation. There are religious exploration classes for adults and small groups for support and interests like the book club. Also, families can follow our UUC Religious Exploration Facebook page. There are religious exploration classes for 4K through 9th grade, and there's a youth group every Wednesday online for middle school and high school. We're glad you could come and join us today.
Good morning. My name is Sue Fulkerson, and we invite you to light your chalice at home. I think it's wonderful that there are non-technical glitches too. May this flame we light remind us that every one of us can bring the light of love to the world. May this clear flame be a symbol that every heart can burn bright with joy, peace, and harmony. May the wisdom of the ages speak to us through this flame and stay in us. Every one of us can be a blessing to the world. By Peter Jamoski. Song of the Open Road by Walt Whitman. I celebrate myself and sing myself, and what I assume, you shall assume. For every atom belonging to me, as good as belongs to you, I am larger, better than I thought. I did not know I held so much goodness. All seems beautiful to me. I can repeat over to men and women, you have done such good to me. I would do the same to you. I will recruit for myself and you as I go. I will scatter myself among men and women as I go. I will toss a new gladness and roughness among them. Whoever denies me it shall not trouble me. Whoever accepts me, he or she shall be blessed and shall bless me. Now is the time in our service where we share our joys and concerns. You may share your joys and concerns in the chat, and I will read them aloud in this circle of this community of care. We will have a moment of silence as you share your joys and concerns. I see so many messages of gratitude in the chat thus far for all the people who make these services happen. From Ash Lynn, who wishes healing from COVID to all those that are affected. From Bob Jankowski, joy that our good friends Nick and Maureen DeLeo just welcomed a new grandson to this world, Hunter, 10 pounds, 4 ounces. From Ralph Edwards, a joy that we plan to cut our Christmas tree today, social distancing. From Lacey Heward, I'm grateful for choir, even if we can't meet in person. The music helps me feel the holiday spirit this time of year. From Marcia Jacobs, I am glad that I can share the holidays with my son and his family. Went with them to get their tree last Sunday. From Ashlyn, for loneliness, to not see family. Thankful for Zoom, FaceTime, and video chat. From Mark Quam, thinking of those who face eviction because they have lost their jobs and their financial means to move forward. From Virginia, Thankful for this weather, not winter yet. From Linda Mays to everyone. For families and local hospitals that have lost loved ones. From Laurel. Grateful for the time together with my children and their families over Thanksgiving in Denver. All healthy, all safe. We'll close our joys and concerns today with one moment of silence for all those that are just too tender to escape the folds of our hearts. And now, love is the spirit of this church, and service its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
Blessed Spirit of my life, give me strength through stress and strife. Help me with dignity. Let me know serenity. Fill me with a vision. Clear my mind of fear and confusion. When my thoughts grow restlessly, let peace find a home in me. Spirit of history, hear the still small voice in me. Help me with simplicity as I comfort those in need. Fill me with compassion, be the source of my intuition. Then when life is done for me, let love be my legacy. Fill me with compassion, be the source of my intuition. Then when life is done for me, let love be my legacy.
Manifesto on Basic Goodness by Sakyong Mipam Rinpoche. We want to live in a world of peace and goodness. We want a world where the highest values are tolerance, generosity, creativity, kindness, and fearlessness, rather than self-absorption, aggression, and speed. A single glance at today's news will tell you that we are at a crossroads, but we still have everything we need to create a good future. Politics, strategies, wars, and religions have not solved our problems. An internal shift is required. On first glance, it may not sound like much, but it actually has the power to change everything. All you have to do is know beyond doubt that you are good, that you possess inherent worth and value. When you do, something extraordinary happens. You come into your power. Your confidence rises and your distrust lessens. Your world becomes full of possibility rather than hassles. You see that others also possess this goodness, and your heart opens to them. None of this means that we won't have sorrow, rage, disappointment, and confusion. We will. But when we trust ourselves, we discover a way to conquer them and help others to do so too. When we see ourselves as worthy, we have the confidence to view this world as also worthy. When we see ourselves as unworthy, we lose faith, not just in ourselves, but in everyone else. We treat others as potential threats because we are easily frightened. To approach ourselves, others, and our world as basically good rather than basically bad changes our actions, words, intentions, aspirations, gestures, energy, everything. This subtle shift in our state of mind can alter the atmosphere we live in. It can quell the epidemic of shame, doubt, and mistrust that seems to infect us all. It can actually change the world. We possess the power to create a sane world. We can do it. Each of us holds human destiny in our hands. It will be completely determined not by what we think, but by how we feel. It all turns on each person's discovery of self-respect. It is that simple and that daunting. Do we want a world where everyone feels they are basically good, worthy, and kind? I believe we do. Now, I ask you to touch your heart. Feel your inborn courage, intelligence, and kindness, and offer them to the world.
Maybe some of you know Neil Young's song, Heart of Gold. He sings, I want to live, I want to give, I've been a miner for a heart of gold. It's these expressions I never give that keeps me searching for a heart of gold. And I'm getting old. Keeps me searching for a heart of gold. And I'm getting old. The dictionary says that a heart of gold means a very kind and good nature, as in Bill is very generous, he has a heart of gold. This expression alludes to gold in the sense of something valued for its goodness. It's an old metaphor dating from the 1500s when Shakespeare used it in Henry V to describe the king. Maybe Young's song is about looking for someone other than himself, but I prefer to believe he wants to find his own heart of gold. Isn't that what we all want to do? To find our own hearts of gold? Ironically, we need not search because we are born with these hearts, hearts of basic goodness, or so the Buddhists say. So does Walt Whitman. In Song of the Open Road, he exclaims, I am larger, better than I thought. I did not know I held so much goodness. Or listen to Gerard Manley Hopkins praise God's grandeur. There lives the deepest, freshest, deep down things. Even our Unitarian Universalist first principle affirms our basic goodness. We affirm and promote the worth and dignity of every person. Over the centuries, as these examples reveal, people have intuited or experienced basic goodness. What are some other definitions? A Buddhist teacher, Russell Rogers, writes, basic hints at something that's primordial, an experience that is uncontaminated by second thought or interpretation, just raw experience itself. It's pre-thought, a state that Buddhists describe as isness or thatness. The word pure might be applied. If this is basic, then what is good about it? Generally speaking, when we are in direct contact with the world, it feels fresh and spacious. We're not thinking about something, we're experiencing it now. The moment might feel poignant, full and complete in itself, but empty of our thoughts about it. Another Buddhist teacher, Daniel Sharpenberg, tells us that basic goodness represents the same thing essentially as the Buddha nature concept. It's about our true nature, who we really are. The teaching is quite simply, you are good enough. Like many Western Buddhists, he focuses on the psychological implications of the practice. In his words, you are the sky. All of your emotional baggage and neuroses and insecurities, that stuff is all just the weather. Regardless of how bad the weather is, behind all the clouds, the sky remains untouched. We all carry around emotional baggage, but it's not who we really are. Pema Chodron uses another metaphor to discuss basic goodness, a glass of water. Dirt stands for our anger, greed, and ignorance. If we add dirt to the water, it's no longer clear. If we stir it up, we see only muddy water. But if we let it settle, the water is clear again. All of these thinkers assert that we are born with hearts of gold, and yet we may spend much of our lives searching for them. Why? We come into this world with wakefulness, openness, and tenderness. I recently read a book called Just Babies, where the research shows that babies, in fact, come in this way. But as we grow up and learn to live within our culture, we form habit patterns or egos that allow us to function in the world in which we find ourselves. These develop in response to our instincts for survival and are fear-based. Feeling threatened, we react with anger or fear that results in behaviors meant to defend us or make us feel safe. Feeling in need, we react with desire and grasping and behaviors that seek to fill the absence. Our egos thus build up of habit patterns that cover up our basic goodness or awareness, and we lose touch with it, except perhaps for occasional glimpses which may remind us of who we basically are and initiate a search. In any case, all our lives we long to return to our hearts of gold. A story in Tara Brach's Radical Compassion gave me this gold metaphor. She tells of a monastery about to be destroyed for the creation of a road. There are several versions of this story, and although the details vary, all are based in reality. The place is Wat Thaimet Temple in Thailand, where in 1955 the events of the story occurred. The monks had to move their clay statue of the Buddha. It's huge. All of them struggle to carry it out of the monastery, but before long, they drop it. Then one of them notices that where the clay is chipped off, there's a sparkle. And then they begin chipping off the rest of the clay and find a solid gold Buddha. Many hundreds of years before, the monks had covered it in clay to keep it from being taken away during the war. This statue is a wonderful metaphor. Our clay covering hides our gold Buddha nature and protects us when we are threatened. But what we really want and need is to be in touch with our basic goodness. This is the purpose of the practice, to reveal the gold of who we are, to bring us to awareness of our basic goodness. As Pema Chodron suggests, we meditate to let the dirt settle so that we can see the clear water, or as Brock suggests, so that we can remove the clay and see the gold. Anyone who has meditated for any length of time experiences the calming, settling peace of stopping and paying attention to the moment. Thoughts, emotions, and sensations may float by, but behind them is clarity and space and tenderness, basic goodness. Unfortunately, meditation is seldom enough to remove years of clay. Besides the commitment to do so, we need good teachers and instructions and fellow travelers along the path. It would take several books to describe this process, which wouldn't be the same for any of us anyway. So let me be general and offer you a summary of how Tara Brach explains it. She uses what she calls the RAIN process: recognize, allow, investigate, nurture. The first step is to see what's actually going on. We are very good at hiding from ourselves. So seeing our anger or clinging or whatever is the necessary first step. And once we see it, we must accept it for what it is, not push it away, judge it, or hate it, or love it. Just accept it. For those of us conditioned to resist or blame our or others' flaws, simple acceptance is very difficult, but it is necessary if we are to investigate what's underneath the thoughts and emotions we have recognized and allowed. For example, we might feel a dark, heavy, tight place in our heart or stomachs. Further exploration might result in a story from the past that seems associated with this feeling, and then in trying to understand what the younger versions of us need to heal. Of course, what we all need when we are suffering is nurture, in particular, self-compassion. Brock recommends thinking of good friends or our future selves offering compassion and reassurance to us. Therapy is certainly one means by which we can chip away the clay and be nurtured. This process will take longer or a shorter time, depending on the thickness of the clay, but it can work for anyone. I imagine you out there asking, Hitler, Manson, Bundy, even those messed up people who go into schools and murder innocent people? The Buddhist answer is that they are all basically good. They are not inherently evil. They are so very confused. They deserve our compassion. In Even Psychopaths Need Love, teacher Lodro Rinsler explains, I believe that when people hear me speak of this topic, they think I'm defending these individuals. I certainly am not. There are some people out there who have done some really horrendous things, things that break my heart. I am, however, defending the view that these people are basically good. I believe in basic goodness, but let me play devil's advocate and question this belief. What happens when we divide people into good and bad, as most of humanity has for centuries? This is the first step to othering some people and forming tribes, which lead to discrimination. Our culture celebrates the white, male, heterosexual, able bodied, educated, young, and wealthy as good, and condemns people of color, females, LGBTQ people, people with disabilities, uneducated, old, and poor people as bad. Our innate tendency to be dualistic leads us to such divisions and all of the fear and hatred they engender, culminating in isolation and other forms of punishment. Secondly, those who fall into one or more of these bad categories may internalize may internalize the judgment of their cultures. They may have negative self-images and live in shame. In response to their situation, they may be self-destructive or act out their rage against a society that condemns them. As a female, a lesbian, a person with disabilities, and an old person, I have lived with the results of discrimination and dualism. I don't believe we are born in sin. I don't believe we are bad or evil. I have experienced a moral system founded on dualism as inhumane and destructive. So even if I can't prove that we have basic goodness and deserve compassion for ourselves and one another, I choose to believe that we do. This is a theology that unifies rather than divides, that inspires rather than shames or exalts, that nurtures rather than destroys. It embodies love rather than fear, and consequently offers the motivation for building a just society, one in which there are equal rights for all living beings, equity, fairness, connection, cooperation, and respect for differences. For these reasons, I encourage you to accept and cultivate your own basic goodness and to look for and foster it in others. Let me suggest the following guided meditation as at least a small way to begin doing so. Start by dropping your awareness into your body, then into your breath. Start to notice each breath as if it's the first time you've ever felt a breath. Bring curiosity to each breath. The same kind of freshness of experience as if you smelled fresh laundry for the first time ever. Then bring the same fresh beginner's mind to your tender heart that is always there, that feels the pain and sadness and stress of the world, that feels the love and joy in the world. Start to trust in this basic goodness. Bring the same fresh, open experience to every sensation with a wide open awareness that is as vast and unconstrained as the blue sky. Practice this fresh awareness throughout the day and learn to trust in this basic goodness, this tender heart, this wide open consciousness. May we all people uncover our hearts of gold, our basic goodness. May we feel compassion for ourselves and others. May we be filled with loving kindness. May we be well. May we be peaceful and at ease. May we be happy. May all of our suffering deepen into wisdom and compassion. And may we know the joy of our true nature, our basic goodness. May it be so. And now it's time for the giving. With gratitude for the abundance in our lives, we give to help people in need and to support the work of this congregation. The 50-50 Share the Plate recipient for December is the Unitarian Universalist Service Commission. You can donate online or text to give at 84321 Checks can be mailed to UUC 421 South Farwell Street, Eau Claire, Wisconsin, 54701.
Please join me at home with extinguishing your chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
For those of you watching from our Facebook live stream, I'm so happy you've joined us today. If you'd like to get information on how to join services in Zoom, you can fill out the visitor link in the Facebook comments. Those attending in Zoom, we will take a brief moment to share joys and concerns or share names that you might not have shared during service. And then we will move into our breakout rooms. Let's close with these words from the famous Vietnamese Buddhist monk Thich Nhat Hanh. People deal too much with the negative, with what is wrong. Why not try and see positive things, to just touch those things and make them bloom? Let us follow his suggestion and allow our basic goodness to flower. Go in peace.